Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason. Happy Wednesday, Hump Day Wednesday. I hope it finds you well out there. Man, I know, right? Another day. 10 million different things to talk about. War. The war drum's beating. We'll update you. We had Ayatollah Khomeini was out. I think that's his name. Whatever. One of the mullahs, the head mullah. He was out addressing his nation. Donald Trump had things to say. We have the Federal Reserve. We're going to get the meeting, the press conference, right? No rate cut that anybody's anticipating. More name calling from Donald Trump. We've literally gone insane. People are insane. But when you have no good choices, this is what happens, right? I mean, when would you have imagined the President of the United States calling the chairman of the Federal Reserve stupid? That was today. He's called them too late Jay, right? I mean, he's been hammering Jerome Powell. And I get it. Some people are probably, yeah, right, they get all excited. Listen, I'd be all excited if Donald Trump was talking about ending the Federal Reserve. That would excite me. But this actually is not a good thing. Already, the whole world is questioning holding dollars. And whether or not, listen, it's just how Trump is, right? He's just going to say it. And he doesn't say it nice. He didn't, it'd be great if they'd cut rates. And I've got a lot of respect for Jerome Powell, and he's got a hard job, but I really, he could make it pretty. He could put the proverbial lipstick on the pig. But that's not how Trump rolls. And it's just another indication of essentially telling the rest of the world, hey, yeah, well, gosh, if the president, even the president doesn't like, why would we want to buy dollars? Yesterday, if you missed the show yesterday, we had a silver spectacular sale yesterday. We have what I'll call it the leftovers today, so be ready. There's not very much, but whatever it is, we'll throw it out there. And we also heard from the importers to America telling the banks, hey, they don't want to be paid in dollars. We need to set up paying them in euros and renminbis. Heck, there's Canadian companies now saying, pay us in the loonie, right? Pay us in Canadian dollars. Mexico, pay us in pesos. I mean, this stuff is happening. By the way, Nassim Taleb is on our website today if you want to go check it out. If you don't know that name, man, when I was early in my career, he wrote a book, Nassim Taleb. This is before the housing crash, before the financial crisis. It was called The Black Swan. If you've never heard of it, and obviously you got to be kind of a financial junkie like I am, right? I started reading this book, and I don't know, it was probably like 05, something like that. And I've got it here somewhere. I got to go find it. And I started underlining stuff, right? And first I took a pen, and then I was like, gosh, this. Then I went to a highlighter, and then it just got to the point where I was highlighting page after page after page, and I was like, all right, enough, right? Has an incredible ability to see through nonsense. because he will readily admit, hey, most of the we keep talking about, well, this side and that side and this is the side. He goes along the lines of a lot of these things that they tell you are signs are not signs. They're not. They want you to believe that they are, but they're actually are not. And he went off on essentially the nonsense that is the United States fiscal picture, its central bank, its Congress, its Treasury, and said no legitimate central bank in the world would want to hold anything other than gold. And what he meant by was, hey, listen, you got to have stuff. He goes, and he was very, very simple. He goes, listen, it doesn't make sense to pay, let's just take the that oil ship that caught on fire that got rammed into yesterday. 1.5 million barrels of oil. It doesn't make sense to pay for it in gold. Yeah, you use some type of, fiat money as the intermediary to do it. But anything else, definitely want to hold gold. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour on this Wednesday. It is Fed Day, so they're going to conclude their meeting. We'll know here in a few hours, like 3 hours, 4 hours from now, that they've held rates steady, and everyone will look for how many rate cuts do they see between now and the end of the year. My guess is ready? 1. I think that's what they're going to say. Will some have 2? Probably. Will some have none? Probably. And then we'll listen to Jay Powell talk, and then we'll see what the markets do. But right now, the Dow is up 200. The S&P is up 27. The Nasdaq's up 100. The 10-year note, it's interesting. It's at 4.35. Again, we had really bad economic data yesterday. It is the Juneteenth holiday. So I guess markets will be closed on that. They will be open. So happy Juneteenth out there. But the jobless claims number normally comes in tomorrow, came out today. 245,000. So it's the third straight week where they stayed just below 250. Matter of fact, last week was 248. They revised that to 250,000. This week, 245. So not horrible. Still elevated. By the way, continuing claims continues to climb. So that'll be something we'll see if Jay Powell will address it. Oil's down $1 right now at $74. And again, I'll update you on the latest Iran ultimate, what was it? The surrender, ultimate surrender, or what? I forget. Whatever term Trump used, unilateral, I don't know. I'll find it. Gold right now is doing absolutely nothing. Just kind of sitting here. I like it, by the way. 33.87. Silver off a little bit here, but again, silver, just get ready. It's going to be 40. The only question, is it going to be 50? But just below $37. Our toll-free number, again, 800-951-0592. Very quickly, Let me give you, I guess, the latest on the war. The Ayatollah was out addressing his people, saying that Iran will not surrender, saying that even as bombs are falling, that America's military entry into the conflict would be a clear sign of weakness for Israel, right? Kind of a little mental game being played, right? Oh, what's the matter, Israel? You need Big Brother to come and help you, right? You know that. Well, you know, you right? Let's just have a fair fight, us versus you, type of a thing, right? I don't think that's going to work. The U.S. president threatened us with his absurd rhetoric, his demands that the Iranian people surrender to him. They should make threats against those that are afraid of being threatened. The Iranian nation is not frightened by such threats. It isn't wise to tell the Iranian nation to surrender. What should the Iranian nation surrender to? We will never surrender in response to anyone that attacks us. The U.S. would enter this matter with 100% of its own detriment. The damage it will suffer will be far greater than any harm Iran may encounter. It kind of sounds good. Doubt that. But that was kind of his statement on TV today. What kind of, I guess, has the markets a little, I guess, hopeful is Donald Trump, after calling Jay Powell Stupid Powell. That's his new name now, apparently, Stupid Powell. Last Fed meeting, it was Too Late Jay. It has now been elevated to Stupid Powell. Said that Iran reached out. But that was all he said. So, don't know. By the way, huge crude draws today. So, I don't know that oil is going to go down that much. Maybe we'll see if this thing, I don't know, comes to an end or what have you. But 10 million barrels. So, yeah, pretty significant drawdown, which, whether or not this thing ends, which I hope it does, I don't think crude's staying down for very long. So, inventory levels are not great. By the way, drilling rigs, that count continues to decline, which tells you that, you know, we've been producing the most we've ever produced. And remember, even the oil company said, oh, that number's going to start going down. Yeah, we're not drill, baby, drill for $60 or $70. They're just not going to do it because they said the math doesn't work. So we'll have to wait and see. And like I said, Donald Trump, gotta love it, though. So we have a stupid person. Frankly, you probably won't cut today. Europe's had 10 cuts. We've had none. Well, we did have some just a while ago. I guess he's a political guy. I don't know. He's a political guy who's not a smart person. He's costing the country a fortune. If he's worried about inflation, that's okay. I understand that. I don't think there's going to be any. But now we have a man that just refuses to lower the Fed rate. Just refuses to do, and he's not a smart person. I don't even think he's that political. I think he hates me. But that's okay. Donald Trump, I would do a much better job than these people. So, Jason, Donald Trump saying, hey, listen, let me run the Fed. I'll do it better.
Donald Trump made the majority of his money on debt. Debt is an instrument that can make you tons of money. And so he sees, he won't say it out loud because Trump has to play the part of the I'm the everyday guy. I'm with you, right? And so by attacking the central bank, because people are starting to wake up and figure out what a central bank really is, by doing this and saying these, I think he's playing this up a little bigger than he really has to. But he does believe what he's saying in this, from where I'm sitting, because he's a debt money guy. He sees the national debt and the deficits. I don't think he doesn't see that as a problem. He sees that as opportunity. He sees that as ways of making more money. And it's better if you're loving making your money on debt if it could just be a lot cheaper for you with lower rates. Donald Trump would probably love negative rates. If he could push us into negative rates, he'd be so happy if he could do that. Charge the banks for the banks should pay me to borrow money from them. I can see him say that, right?
Hey, I'm in better financial shape than these banks are, right? They should pay me.
And hence the negative rates. That's what it would be, right? The bank should pay me to do business with them. That's the way it should work. And then we would be much more prosperous. He would do that. If there was a path where that would work, he would do that. And that would be a cashless money system, which is, he loves cryptos now. He knows that in a digital only money system, that negative interest rates then become a reality. And that's maybe why the world is pushing so hard into cryptos, Joe, is because, man, you can get rid of that cash. I had a listener send me a little video of your baseball park there in Arizona, the Diamondbacks, and they have the cash machine. Right, I haven't seen these personally. I think you've mentioned them on the air once. Where there's no vendors take cash, but they have one vendor that takes cash, the cash machine. You feed your cash in, it spits out a little card.
Spits out a card for you. If you don't have, if you're unbanked, right, you're one of those people.
They still want you to go to the game.
Yes, you can go to the game, and now there's machines that will take your cash and spit out a card that you can use for a fee. Of course, anything for a fee. By the way, one thing, Joe. Kids are so bad at counting cash now. Okay, but my wife does all the shopping, and we do cash. I do as much cash shopping as we can. I love cash shopping. I like private. I've mentioned before where sometimes she gives them the sevens. It's $80.07, and she gives them $100.07. One, they don't know how to type it in, and number two, literally one of the girls held up the nickel and the 2 pennies. She's like, "What is that? How much is this? What is this?" It's gone worse than that now. Okay, now my wife, they're just giving her. You just keep that. They're just, the change, anything under $1, 70 cents, 25 cents. She's got several cashiers now. They're just giving it out. Like at big stores, you think they count every penny. They're now just giving the coins back. Think about that, Joe. Well, think about it.
I'm making about 50 cents every time she goes to the grocery store and spends cash with these people that won't count the coins.
They're getting rid of the penny, right? They're going to stop right, I think that's already stopped, or it's getting ready to stop. No more pennies. It's all part of this. J.P. Morgan yesterday. Did you see? Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to look at this stable coin thing. I'll just tell you, we had a Texas call yesterday with Bobby. I am blown away at what we're putting together. The mine that we are building, it's insane. We will be, when this thing is done, not only will we have a network that can process billions of transactions, that will be producing Texas coin. We'll be one of the world's largest producer of Litecoin and Dogecoin. I mean, we're building a mega powerhouse here. I hope you get on board. We'll talk about more about that in a minute. The World Gold Council. Remember now, I've been educating you about the World Gold Council. You're like, oh, the World Gold Council, they're all about gold. Well, no, they're all about the banks. 2 weeks ago, They finally had to admit it. Okay. Yes, gold's a tier 1 asset. And yes, it should be the highest rated tier 1 asset. What does that mean? Well, first of all, you have to be highly liquid. Okay. You got to be able to sell it fast. And you've got to be able to withstand shocks to the financial system. And 2 weeks ago, they finally admitted, yeah, gold's the best at it all. Better than treasuries, better than cash, and it needs to be represented that way. Every year for the last 8 years, they've been sending out an annual survey. This year, a record number of central banks responded to the survey. You won't believe what they said.
Yes, ma'am.
800-951-0592. Be ready. I'll give you a silver spectacular update in just a minute. What is left over from yesterday, and it's not much. But very quickly, every year now for the last 8 years, the central bank has been putting this survey out. They had record participation this year. And just that alone should tell you what's happening here. The increase in the participation is not just a number, the World Gold Council said. It's a powerful signal of engagement. Roughly half of all global central banks participated in this survey, and it was overwhelming. The amount of interest that central banks see in the value of holding gold as a global reserve asset was incredible. According to this survey, 95% of the central banks expect global reserves to increase in the next 12 months. By the way, so that'd be like 69 to 70, depending on how they did the math, of the 73 that responded. No one in the survey expected gold holdings to go down. Additionally, almost half of the central banks said that they plan to increase their own official gold holdings. What? You know, we know they tell, oh, well, China's buying, India, Poland, the Czech, they name the same 5, 6 central banks all the time. Now they're saying, well, in the survey, like 35 of them said they're all buying gold. You know what the number was last year? 29%. And by the way, last year I want to say there was like 50-some that responded. This is a huge, huge increase. And they're saying that the demand is largely driven from the non-G7 central banks. The trend is unsurprising. It is one of the most significant trends emerging as central banks continue its diversification away from the U.S. dollar. Are you not listening? They're not listening. You're not listening. Stupid Jay Powell. It's not Jay Powell's fault. It's not his. He's not helping, but it's not his fault. Ready for this? 73% of the central banks that answered the survey. And remember, half of the world central banks answered the survey. Said that they either anticipate moderately or significantly lowering U.S. dollar holdings within their global reserves over the next 5 years. Oh, brutal. What is going to happen to our deficit over the next 5 years? Well, we know, the whole big, beautiful bill, just so everyone knows, it is front-loaded with the debt. What does that mean? Okay, all the tax cuts, right? The overtime stuff and all that stuff. Not for the companies. Right? The companies, they're going to say, okay, that's the new rate forever. But for all of you, the little people that Trump apparently represents, your tax cuts come to an end in 2028. That's how they make it look better. Now, we all know what's probably going to happen in 2028. Let's all take a guess. Anyone got a guess? Oh, no, we can't raise taxes, right? It's nonsensical. But anyway, 76% of respondents that said that gold will represent a moderately or significantly larger share of total reserves 5 years from now. So I'm going to just kind of read through this here. All the countries that said we're either going to moderately or significantly reduce gold holdings, Jason, they pretty much said, and we're going to replace it with gold. I mean, that's kind of what it says, isn't it?
Well, I think that's what we've been seeing, Joe. I mean, Joe will back me up on this, but the retail buying that you guys are listening to the show as a whole, you guys are buying way less. Now, in the years I've been doing this, when you guys are buying way less, the price is usually not going up. Sometimes it goes down. When you guys are buying a whole lot, prices go up. So the last 20 months, what we've been seeing, price goes up. You guys buy a little less. Price goes up. You guys buy a little less. Price goes up. The price is going up, and it's mostly off a paper number, the spot price. But someone's buying it. The price doesn't go up all by itself. Now, if nobody did anything, then with inflation, yes, the price of gold is heavily dependent on inflation, but there's still a market there. There's the physical asset, and it's going up. It's actually pushing the paper price where it doesn't want to go because not you guys aren't buying it. The wealthiest interests on the planet are buying it. They're loading up, hand over fist, pushing the price up, and they're forcing you out. You listening that aren't buying are literally the peanut butter jar that I talk about all the time since the first year I came on the air. When times are good, all the peanut butter that gets put in the jar, that's the richest, wealthiest bankers and business interests. When the market gets ready to go bad, that peanut butter leaves the jar very quietly. All that stuff stuck to the side. That's you supposedly buying more gold and silver and growing your assets, but instead, you guys are selling to us. Here comes the spatula, cleans you right out, and you're falling for it again. You guys better hold on tight, right, Joe? You got to hold on tight in these times.
800-951-0592. 800-951-0592. Gold's up $1, $33.90. Silver down 17 cents, 36.85. Here's what's left on the silver spectacular sale from yesterday. I've got 9 rolls of U.S. Silver Eagles at $810. Right? Like I said, it's the cheapest around. You're buying now like, what is it, 75 cents over cost, something like that, right? $810 for 20 1-ounce American U.S. Silver Eagles. I have one 10-ounce silver bar. It's at $38 an ounce, or $380. I have 20 5-ounce silver bars at $190. Again, $38. And then 10 rolls of rounds. That's it. Also, $760 for 20 1-ounce silver rounds. Also, $38. So the bars and the rounds, $38. The Eagles, the Silver Eagles, $810. I've got 9 rolls of Eagles. I've got 20 5-ounce silver bars. I've got one 10-ounce silver bar. And I've got 10 rolls of rounds. And then, of course, the 20s. 100 gold pieces. It's $135 over spot. Spot's almost $3,400. I mean, man, you just can't beat. Like Jason was saying, are you going to get scraped up? Are you going to get scraped up here? Because that's what's coming. They all know it. Too many people wait for crisis. I mean, you know what was great about the financial crisis? But that's like when things turn for gold. Because you were just a wacko, a tinfoil helmet wearing wacko in the basement before then. Then people were like, oh, wait a minute. Hey, okay, well, gold's not so dumb anymore. And maybe I need to check it out a little bit. Didn't most people do anything? No. Some of them, right, waited to the very top, right, bought in at the top, then it went down. Oh, I'm all mad. We are so far away from the top. I don't even have words to say how far away. The problem is, by the time everybody wakes up to the reality, for most people, it will be completely unaffordable, which is exactly what they want. Why are all these central banks? It's freaking overwhelming. And you got to remember, only half responded, which is still an all-time record. That never have they had that many respond. Let's just say the ones that didn't respond are just like the ones that did respond. Because the vast majority of... Okay, let me do some math for you. Ready? G7. Okay, I'm holding up my 7, right? G7, that's 7 central banks. That leaves, right, like 150 other central banks. And what did the World Gold Council say? They're the ones doing all the buying because they don't want to hold dollars anymore. Well, why the heck don't they want to? Some of it's political, right? Some of it's political. They don't like using it as a weapon. You know how many central banks did not like what Europe and America did to Russia's assets when they froze $300 billion over, let's call it what it is, a border dispute? Right? That's part of it. But here's the other part. God, I keep buying this crap. And every time I go to turn it in, I get less stuff. Right? Just like us. Every time we go to the grocery store, it costs more. Buy a car, costs more. Buy insurance, costs more. Buy a house, costs more. Buy health insurance, costs more. Go on vacation, costs more. Go to Disneyland, costs more. buy anything costs more. And these central banks are like, wait a minute. If I buy gold instead, at least I can buy the same amount of stuff 10 years from now. From when I first bought the bond, right? That's what's happening. And unfortunately, they don't want you to have it, period. Because the ones of you that are smart enough to figure it out and see, because I know you got money out there. Let's not lie. So not all of you, obviously. But the ones that do, don't be a fool here. Because how much gold can you be able to buy when it's $10,000 an ounce? Versus now, when you can buy a $20 gold piece for $3,525. See what I'm saying? And this silver, this just ridiculous pricing. That's like give it away, get it done. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Wednesday. All bets are off after Jay Powell talks today. And again, I'm not expecting much. There will not be a rate cut. I don't anticipate the central bankers out there signifying a lot of rate cuts coming between now and the end of the year. If that happens, look out, right? Gold and silver.
If you had a chance to ask Jay Powell a question today, what would you ask him?
Interesting. Boy, you put me on the spot. If I could ask Jay Powell a question today.
I'll do my question when you're done.
Yeah, I think it'll be very simple. How do you respond to the World Gold Council survey where 95% of all central banks say they want to add gold and sell dollars? How do you respond to that? That would be my question today.
And then that's where Joe, that's why he runs this show. My question after hearing from Donald Trump would be, Mr. Powell, are you stupid? President Trump says you're stupid. How do you react to that? That's my question. I want to get an answer to that one.
I do anticipate a very Jay Powell will be very short. Somebody will pose a question. They'll do it nicer than what Jason did, but that question will be raised, and you will see Jay Powell be extremely
how about this
annoyed
for the better one? Do you feel, as the head chief of the Fed, that you're running things there very unintelligently? As a process server, I learned that guys will try to get you going, and they get mad at you because you're giving them bad news. But the one thing, if throwing F-bombs or calling the guys a-holes or whatever, the one thing that really got these guys really angry is I'm leaving back to my car after I've served the papers, and they're still chatting and yelling at me. I tell them, just don't be so unintelligent. And man, the biggest, beefiest, strongest guys in the world, you take a shot at them if they're unintelligent, and they freak out, man. It's quite the thing. So obviously Donald Trump understands this philosophy, and he's used it today to get a rise.
800-951-0592. The remaining elements of the silver spectacular. Again, U.S. Silver Eagles. There's only a handful of rolls left. At 810, we have no more 10-ounce bars. We're almost out of 5-ounce silver bars at 190, and silver rounds at 760. So, U.S. rolls of U.S. Silver Eagles, 810. Got a few of those left. We've got about 15 5-ounce silver bars left at 190, and then the 10 rolls of rounds at 760 at 800-951-0592.
Joe, silver was $32.99 at the end of April. It's essentially $37 an ounce right now. That's 12%. It went up in 7 weeks.
going to be another 12% in another 7 weeks. And that's probably an understatement. So I wish it was different. 800-951-0592.